Let's play a pop song, singing to that highway song. Got a little naive smile, the kind that drives you wild. Nothing like playing with fire, brings boy to life. Be with the fuse you light, you're good, you're dynamite. You made my day when you walked into town beside me, whispered with your eyes, let's go. You made me say, what's your name, girl, you're lonely. Can I call you if I ever go down this road? And I can't seem to find the thing I want.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
14:20 in the morning, 14 minutes and 20 seconds worth of sports talk to get you through your daily commute. Hot takes, recaps, best bets, and a little humor to get your day going in the right direction. Sit back, grab your coffee, and let's get into it. All right, 14:20 in the morning for this 26th day of May 2023. Today's show is brought to you by SeatGeek.com, the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420pod at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20 in your first purchase of baseball tickets, football tickets, hockey tickets, whatever you want to go to SeatGeek.com and use our promo code 1420pod. Thanks for making us a part of your morning each and every morning here on Facebook and on YouTube, and then on the podcast form a little later on in the morning. And as always, we are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Make sure you go to bellyup.com and check out all the great articles and other podcasts that are on the Belly Up Media Network. Anyways, the Toronto Blue Jays, they're to say the least, they're in a bit of a funk right now. 2-8 in their last 10, 3 back of a wild card spot, 10.5 back of that juggernaut Tampa Bay team. The Jays, to say the least, they kind of got punched in the mouth the last week and a half to 2 weeks. Not doing so good when they face a lot of American League East opponents. With the Baltimore Orioles, were a much better baseball team. With the New York Yankees, who are still the Yankees. And then like I said, they're losing to Tampa, who just doesn't seem to do anything wrong except for that, 20-1 beating the other night. I think it was on Tuesday night when that occurred, or Wednesday. It doesn't much matter what night of the week that occurred, because it happened early and often. The Jays scored and they got things going. But other than that, the Jays have been struggling. And now you're getting to that part of the season where you are who your record says you are, usually by Memorial Day in the United States, or our neighbors down south. Happy Memorial Day coming up this week, and make sure you guys celebrate safely, but go out and have a good time on Memorial Day. Barbecue season starting off and all that stuff. But usually come Memorial Day in the baseball season, that's when the old saying comes around, your record is who you say you are. And this is what the Jays, maybe this is who they are. One game above 500, not playing great baseball, fundamentally not doing so good. And of course, when things go a little bit sideways, what do? You have the good old closed door meeting that solves all the problems in the world. That there seems to be some magical formula behind those closed door meetings that makes every professional sports team do a lot better. I don't know what goes on behind those meetings, but I'd like to be a fly in the wall and what gets said and what doesn't get said. It's crazy that a major, all of a sudden you have a closed door meeting and a pitcher all of a sudden starts throwing more strikes and quits walking guys on a regular basis. You have a closed door meeting, and you put the deadbolt on the door, and for some reason a guy is getting more than one home run every 15 games. Your superstar starts playing like your superstar because you had a closed door meeting and there was a conversation amongst grown athletes and grown men that something that gets said in the closed door meeting without reporters in this magical room that has these closed door meetings. And all the problems of the world seem to go away when you have a closed door meeting. And it seems that every team has them in every sport, and you wonder what goes on. All of a sudden pitchers are held more accountable because there is a closed door meeting, and it fixes all the problems. And all of a sudden you have a catcher being able to throw somebody out and not having 7 stolen bases on them in one game, as happened yesterday with the Toronto Blue Jays. And this closed door meeting just gets everything out in the open. And these guys that they without reporters in the room get told that we need to be more accountable. We need to be more held more accountable for our own actions. We need to start playing better. I don't know what goes on behind these magical closed door meetings where you have a bouncer standing in front of the Roxy or the Rainbow or wherever it might be with their arms crossed, and all of a sudden magically everybody starts tearing the cover off the ball and things get a lot better for for your baseball team or your hockey team or whatever it may be. And these closed door meetings don't seem to include a manager for some reason. And then you have the guys always who come out of these magical meetings where they drink the fairy dust or the Kool-Aid or whatever it might be, and they say it's up to us. We got to be better. It's nobody else can help us out. Well, no kidding. That's some revelational crap coming out of a player's mouth when they say that. Yeah, it's been up to you since day one. You're the guy making the money, and I hate to say to put money on the line when it comes to these guys, but it's one of those things where these athletes, they know that it's their job on a daily basis to go out and get the job done, and it's them. And baseball is one of those sports. It's not really a team sport. Yeah, you play as a team, obviously, but it's individuals. And for these guys to come out and say, yeah, it's up to us. Well, yeah, that's how baseball works. That's how the game of baseball works. You have one guy who holds the ball in his hand, throws it to another guy, and hopefully the guy who's in the middle doesn't hit it. It's one of those things. Then you have guys who are making errors that gets hit to that player. And if they make an error, yep, that's your fault. That's how baseball works. And why they have to have these magical meetings once a week or once a season or whatever it might be. In fact, I don't know why they don't have more of these closed door meetings, because it seems to solve all the problems of the world. They have them every year. Why they don't have one schedule, like why management wouldn't schedule these things once every 10 days, say, hey boys, I think she's time for another closed door meeting. We have a problem here, and this will fix our situation, what we got going on here. So maybe if we just have another closed door meeting, we'll start playing better. And then that'll just fix all our problems. Don't include the manager though, because he's not the one trying to right the ship. Make sure it's just the guys talking behind the manager's back. Maybe that's the problem, that they don't include the manager, and the manager comes out and says, yeah, we got kicked in the teeth a little bit this week, or punched in the teeth, however he said it yesterday. I'm talking about Schneider with the Jays. It always seems like they don't include the manager, and we got to straighten this out as a team, as a group. Well, yeah, that's how baseball works. That's how professional sports work. It's not the manager fixing it. It's got to be the players on a daily basis fixing this thing. And it's a bit of a mess in Toronto right now. And you got Alek Manoah, who came off an all-star season last year, and he was supposed to be the ace, but in basically every stat across Major League Baseball, he's last in walks, he's last in ERA. I'm talking about starters, like the 70 starters, whatever it might be. He's last in just about every statistical category in baseball right now, and he's got a real problem. I think it's time to sit him down to miss a start, or maybe send him down to the minors a little bit or something to figure out what's going on between that guy's ears, because it's not good. And when you got to go to your bullpen after 3 innings, like on Saturday, it wasn't his fault, because Schneider came out twice in 1 inning and they had to pull him just because that's what the rules are. That isn't good, because your bullpen, which isn't great to begin with, they get taxed a little bit more, and it's a bad situation for the Jays when every 5 days you got a guy out there who's an absolute gas can and can't throw strikes, and that puts a lot of wear and tear on your team, a lot of wear and tear on your catcher and everything else. It's not a good thing for them to have them. Do they sit him a start? Who knows? I don't know what kind of space is between Manoah's ears, because I don't think he would take very likely to, or he wouldn't like a demotion. I mean, who would? But a guy who was supposed to be your ace and your opening day starter and everything else, if he got sent down, I don't know how much he would like it. Is it time to just have a phantom injury and say, hey, maybe it's time to miss a start or two and figure out what's going on with you? Is it the pitch clock that sped things up for him? It very well could be something as simple as that. He's just not used to going at that pace, because it is a different pace in Major League Baseball now, and you just wonder why it got to this stage of the season already. Because like I said, we're at Memorial Day, and your record is who it says it is, and you don't have much confidence in a guy who's supposed to be your ace. And then if you get a bad start from this guy or a bad start from that guy, it can snowball. And that's what's happened with the Toronto Blue Jays right now. And they have not fared well against the American League East, which is a great division. You look at Tampa Bay, which is that juggernaut, got off that roaring record-breaking start. And then you have the Baltimore Orioles, who are a much, much better baseball team. They beat the Yankees last night again in a great ball game, but they got a much better ball team. Boston's okay. They'll win some games, and the Yankees are the Yankees. Like they're not a great baseball team, but the Yankees are going to win their fair share of baseball games. So the Jays, if they don't get things going a little bit and they stick around at 500, that's that's who you are, and that you're a 500 team, and you're not going to do well against the good teams, and you're not making the playoffs. Maybe that's just it. Maybe the Toronto Blue Jays, because remember, everybody, all the talking heads picked them to win last year, had them as World Series champions. They had them going a certain direction. Yeah, they lost to Seattle in the wild card round, and then this year they aren't doing anything right now that's of anything special. So you wonder if maybe the Toronto Blue Jays are just who their record says they are after 2 years of this core of Bichette and Vladdy and everything else. Like, Vladdy's struggling. Is he injured? Who knows? I don't try not to follow that stuff, because if you're playing, you can't be injured. So he can't be hurt that badly if he's playing every day. One home run in his last 15 games isn't performance. He's not doing anything of any substance whatsoever. So you wonder what's going on there. It may be that this core just isn't who they are. They got rid of a manager last year, and then they brought Schneider in, and now there's people talking about firing Schneider and putting it Don Mattingly in to be the guy. I don't think that's the problem, and I don't think that's the solution, firing guys all the time, because that usually doesn't get it done. Very rarely does firing a manager, it has happened in the past, obviously, but very rarely does firing a manager in baseball at this point of the year get to success. And so you just wonder what the end result of these guys are going to be. And Vladdy's going to want to get more money, and Bichette's already said he's going to get more money. So you wonder if this core maybe just isn't the right core that's been put together. They have enough talent to win a little bit, but you get injuries. But every team gets injured, so you can't blame that. Every team has problems, so you can't blame that. You just wonder that maybe just the core guys aren't that freaking good, and that could be just the simplest form of this little problem that the Toronto Blue Jays have right now, is that they just maybe might not be that good. They're going into Minnesota right now. Minnesota's in first place in the American League Central, which is absolutely an atrocious division. They're the only team above 500. I think they're 26-24 right now is their record. So a third of the season in, they're in first place in the American League Central, but you play a bunch of teams that aren't very good. You should be in first place, and the Jays would be in first place in the American League Central as well. So maybe it's just a fact of the matter is that the Toronto Blue Jays are just a division that is too tough for them right now, and they're not getting the pitching that they need. They're not getting the catching that they need from Alejandro Kirk, giving up the 7 stolen bases, and then he had an error, a pass ball yesterday with 2 strikes. It was a drop third strike, and he didn't get the guy out, and then an error happened, and then it just snowballs. Like when your pitcher gets out, and Manoah has been struggling, and you don't finish the job and get the outs that you need, it can snowball quickly in baseball, and that's what's happening with the Jays right now. And they just aren't playing good, sound, fundamental baseball. But because they had that closed door meeting, it's all going to fix things, and things will get straightened out, and the Toronto Blue Jays will come magically storming back in the American League East because of the fairy dust and whatever gets spread around these closed door meetings with the bouncer in front, arms crossed, trying to get into Esmeralda's on a Saturday night in 1992 in Lethbridge, Alberta, one of those things, right? So you just wonder if these closed door meetings is just a bunch of hoo-ha for the talking heads and for the media to say, yeah, they had a closed door meeting and everything should be fine. And they talk about what's going on. And these guys are so secluded anyways. I don't know why they can't talk about that kind of crap on an airplane or in a hotel room or whatever it may be, and why people even know that there's these magical meetings that never really fix anything. And because if these closed door meetings fix things, every team would go 162-0. It's just because every team over the year, they have these meetings that mean absolutely nothing. It's just talking. It's just banter for the talking heads like myself here at 14:20 in the morning and everything else. So it's just funny to hear that the Jays are going to try to right the ship because of the magical meeting. The deadbolt was locked, and the media couldn't get in to hear what they were talking about. They had to wait 10 minutes instead of 5. And that's all it really is. You wonder how it's going to turn out. I hope the Jays turn it around a little bit, because like I said, baseball is a lot more fun for me when there's more people watching that are quasi Jays fans who turn into Jays fans, and they can make fun of me and my Yankee fandom. And I'm not talking bad about the Jays at all right now, because I am a Yankee fan for those who listen to the show. But it's just it's disheartening when you see a team that's supposed to make a run, and it brings more fans around Canada to the game of baseball and talking about the game of baseball, a game that I love. You don't get a lot if the Jays aren't relevant in Canada. They're not winning. People in Canada kind of tend tune it out over the summer months. It's just one of those things. They'll watch, they'll be quasi fans, but when the Jays are doing well, it's a lot more fun for the actual baseball fans to be involved in it. And you hope that they turn things around, but I just don't see it with that Manoah and the rest of the pitching staff. Kikuchi, who knows what you're going to get with that? It's just an odd situation. Vladdy's got to start hitting. If he's injured, sit down. If you're not doing your team any good, but somebody can't be hurt that badly if he's playing every day. I don't know. It's just an odd situation that they have there in Toronto, and hopefully they can right the ship a little bit, not too good and not too well, but make things a little more relevant. Anyways, on this day in 1988, the Edmonton Oilers beat the Boston Bruins 6-3 in Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Finals to complete the series sweep. Esa Tikkanen scored twice, and Wayne Gretzky picked up a goal and 2 assists and finished the playoffs with 43 points en route to his second Conn Smythe Trophy in what would be Gretzky's last game with the Edmonton Oilers, as he was traded to the Los Angeles Kings later that summer. This is, rumor has it, where the impromptu pitchers started taking place. Not the pose, but then when they grabbed the cup, gather around, because Gretzky kind of heard and knew it was going to be his last game as an Oiler, and the last time he would put an Oilers jersey on until the alumni games, everything else. But it's rumored that's where this tradition started with the Gretzky, because he knew the trade was imminent, going to happen this day in 1988 at the Northlands Coliseum in Edmonton, Alberta. A lot of great memories from those Oiler teams back in the day with Gretzky and everything else. So it's it's crazy to think it was that many years ago today where Gretzky played his last game as an Oiler. And it's an odd one. Happy birthday to PJ Stock, born on this day 48 years ago in Montreal, Quebec. Stock played 7 seasons in National Hockey League and appeared in 235 games, scored 5 goals, 21 assists, and somehow he parlayed that into a broadcasting career during his NHL career. Stock made stops with the New York Rangers, Montreal Canadiens, Philadelphia Flyers, and the Boston Bruins. PJ Stock, I don't mind him on TV. Actually, when he was on TV, he was pretty good, entertaining, tough character. As you can see him, if you're watching here on YouTube, got in a lot of fights, and he was a feisty young individual. There's no getting around that. So happy birthday to PJ Stock. Anyways, there was no show last night. There was a sad situation with Dave's family last night, so we no show last night, but we'll get this going again. So Dave, if you're listening, call condolences from everybody here at 1420 World Headquarters. And make sure everybody subscribe to our YouTube channel. As you guys know, it helps us. The little guy there, if you're watching on YouTube now, he'll tell you to subscribe and everything else. Make sure you hit the button. And thanks for those listens to the YouTube channel or to the podcast later on the day. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and listen in wherever it is you get your podcast. Talk to people about the show, because that helps spread the good word of the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. We appreciate all the support we get on a daily basis from you guys. So keep spreading the word. Belly Up Media, make sure you listen to that, and go to righteousfelon.com and get some 15% off their premium beef jerky by using promo code Belly Up at checkout for righteousfelonjerky.com. Anyways, have a great week, everybody. I got baseball. The WCBL gets going tonight, so that'll be a lot of fun playing it or umpiring in front of some bigger crowds. And it's a great time of year around here, so it'll be a lot of fun. Families in town and everything else. It'll be a lot of fun. Anyways, have a great weekend. We will talk to you guys on Monday. And remember, as always, it doesn't matter where you are. It's who you're with. Have a good weekend, folks.
SeatGeek is the ticketing app for fans like the High Five Strangers guy. Game-winning interception. First down. Just a nice, solid tackle. If you're in arm's length, you will be swapping skin with this extra berth. You see, he knows SeatGeek got him a great deal on tickets, so he can focus on what he does best, smacking palms. SeatGeek handles the tickets to sports, concerts, and more, so fans can fan.
You just listened to the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. 4 beer with sports talk and a whole lot more. We are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Let's get into it.